December 1946. Britain owned 25% of the planet, 458 million people, the largest empire in human history. By 1947, they were begging America for cash, selling their empire piece by piece. This is the story of the most expensive betrayal in history. The day Britain sold its soul for American dollars. 1939, the British Empire, where the sun never sets, Canada to Australia, India to Egypt, 13 million square miles, a quarter of Earth's land, a quarter of its people, the Royal Navy, 1,400 warships, Britannia ruled the waves, the pound sterling, the world's currency, backed by gold, trusted everywhere. London was the world's banker. Wall Street, a junior partner. The City of London financed railroads in Argentina, mines in South Africa, tea plantations in Ceylon. British capital built the modern world. The British Empire wasn't just big, it was rich, impossibly rich. The Bank of England's vaults held gold from every continent. British merchant ships, 33% of the world's total, carried goods worth billions. Insurance? Lloyd's of London insured everything from American factories to Russian railways. The pound sterling was so trusted that Argentina and Japan held their reserves in pounds, not gold. British technology led the world. Jet engines, radar, television, British inventions. British universities trained the world's elite. From Harvard's founders to Indian civil servants, everyone learned the British way. English common law governed a quarter of humanity. British parliamentary democracy was the model from Canada to New Zealand. The empire seemed eternal. Queen Victoria's great-great-granddaughter Elizabeth was a young princess. Churchill spoke of a 1,000-year empire. British children sang "Rule Britannia" in schools from Bombay to Brisbane. The maps in those schools painted red for British territories, so much red. In the City of London, bankers calculated interest on loans to Buenos Aires railways. In Whitehall, civil servants planned irrigation projects for Sudan. In Portsmouth, the Royal Navy commissioned another battleship. Business as usual in the empire where time stood still. But empires don't announce their death. They die in conference rooms, in account ledgers, in desperate meetings between former masters and new ones. Britain's death warrant was signed on December 6, 1946, in Washington, D.C., by men in gray suits. The weapon wasn't a gun, it was a loan agreement, but the real disaster was just beginning. Here's what they didn't teach in British schools. The empire was already broke. Truth hurts. Britain hadn't been truly profitable since 1870. The empire cost more to defend than it earned. India, the jewel in the crown, a loss leader. The Indian army cost £40 million annually. Indian revenue, £35 million. Do the math. The Royal Navy protecting trade routes, bleeding money. 300 ships, 100,000 sailors, bases from Gibraltar to Singapore. Annual cost, £120 million. Return on investment, negative. Those profitable colonies, most revenue went to defense, administration, infrastructure. Nigeria's palm oil profits, spent on Nigerian roads, police, governors. Malaya's rubber wealth, consumed by communist insurgency costs. The White Dominions, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, they kept their own revenue, sent nothing to London. By 1914, Britain owed money. To whom? America. The student was becoming the master. J.P. Morgan, a private banker, had more ready cash than the British Treasury. American steel production surpassed Britain's. American railroads stretched further than the entire British Empire's tracks combined. World War I, the catastrophe, cost £7.4 billion. Britain borrowed from America. Interest rates 5%. The empire that once lent to the world was now a debtor. Before 1914, the world owed Britain £4 billion. After 1918, Britain owed the world £7.4 billion. The transformation was complete. The 1920s brought brief recovery, illusion of power, but the books didn't lie. Trade deficit growing. 1913, Britain exported £600 million. 1925, £400 million. Industrial output falling, coal production down 40%, cotton exports down 50%, shipbuilding, Britain's pride, losing to Japan. The empire was a luxury Britain couldn't afford. The City of London still functioned, sterling still mattered, but look closer. British banks lending not British money, but American. British companies paying dividends with borrowed funds, the empire running on fumes and credit. 1929, Wall Street crashes, American loans to Britain called in, British banks collapse, British companies bankrupt, 3 million unemployed, the dole queues in Manchester, Liverpool, Glasgow. The empire couldn't feed its own capital's workers. 1939, Hitler invades Poland, Britain declares war. Bank of England's gold reserves, £450 million. Sounds substantial? War cost per day, £10 million. Britain had 45 days of war. Then what? The Treasury knew, the War Cabinet knew, Churchill knew. His secret nightmare wasn't Nazi invasion, it was bankruptcy. Britain had two choices, make peace with Hitler or beg America. Churchill chose begging. History calls it diplomacy. But it was begging. And at that moment, everything changed. March 11, 1941. The Lend-Lease Act. Roosevelt called it lending a garden hose to a neighbor whose house is on fire. Churchill called it salvation. History calls it the beginning of the end. The myth. America gave Britain weapons to fight Hitler. The reality. America sold Britain weapons. Payment deferred. Like a loan shark saying, pay me later. When you're desperate, later sounds good, until later arrives. Lend-lease wasn't lending, it was buying. American weapons, food, oil, ships. Payment due after the war. Terms to be determined. By whom? America. When? When Britain was weakest. Churchill signed. What choice did he have? Hitler was 22 miles from Dover. U-boats sinking British ships daily. The Wehrmacht preparing Operation Sea Lion. The numbers tell the story. $31.4 billion in aid. Today's value, $450 billion. Sounds generous. Look deeper. 17% of total U.S. war production. Britain got 27,000 aircraft, but paid for every bolt, 9,000 tanks, each one added to the bill. 15 million tons of food, keeping Britain fed, creating dependency. Britain survived, but read the fine print. Always read the fine print. Article 7, Britain must end imperial preference. Translation, open your empire to American business, end your trade monopoly, let us in. The British Empire's protected market, 25% of world trade, must open. To whom? American corporations. British economic sovereignty surrendered. In subsection 2 of Article 7, while London burned, while Churchill gave speeches, while the RAF fought the Battle of Britain, American lawyers inserted economic surrender into an aid agreement. Worse, the consideration clause. America would decide payment after the war, when Britain was weak, when it had no leverage, like signing a blank check, while your house burns, to the only person with water. The British negotiators saw it. Keynes warned, we are not only to be skinned, but flayed. The Foreign Office noted, this may end the empire. Churchill overruled them. What choice do we have? None. When you're drowning, you grab any hand, even if it's pulling you under. December 1945. War ends. Bill comes due. Britain's debt to America, $31.4 billion. Britain's entire GDP, $10 billion. Foreign currency reserves, almost zero. Gold reserves shipped to America during the war. Fort Knox filled with British gold. The Bank of England empty. Nobody knew this decision would destroy the empire. August 1945, atomic bombs dropped, war over. But for Britain, the real war just began, economic war. Day 1 after Japan's surrender, America cuts Lend-Lease. Instant. No phase out, no transition. Cut, like turning off oxygen. British ships mid-Atlantic carrying American goods. Pay now or return them. British factories using American steel. Cash immediately. Brutal, calculated, effective. Britain in shock. The war ally turned creditor. Overnight, British factories ground to halt. No raw materials. British people faced rationing worse than wartime. No food imports. The special relationship? A myth. This was business. Treasury officials panicked. Britain needed $5 billion just to survive 1946. Where to get it? The empire? India was demanding independence. Egypt nationalizing the Suez Canal. Palestine in revolt. The Dominions? Canada and Australia selling to America now, not buying British. The City of London still bombed out. No help there. One option, beg America. Again, John Maynard Keynes went to Washington, the greatest economist of his age, negotiating for his nation's survival. British request, $6 billion grant. We helped win the war. We deserve aid. American response, business is business. American counteroffer, $3.75 billion. Not a grant, a loan, at 2% interest, conditions attached. Keynes read the conditions. His hands trembled. These weren't terms. This was economic colonization. The conditions destroyed everything. First, pound sterling convertibility. Within 12 months, make the pound freely convertible to dollars. Sounds reasonable? It was poison. Britain had no dollars. Making pounds convertible meant everyone would dump pounds for dollars. Currency collapse programmed, scheduled, guaranteed. Why did America demand this? Simple. Dollar supremacy. If pounds convert freely to dollars and Britain has no dollars, what happens? Pound collapses, dollar rises, global reserve currency shifts from London to New York, economic power transferred through a single clause. Second, end imperial preference. No more exclusive empire trade. American goods must access all British colonies. Same terms. The empire's economic wall smashed. The British Empire worked on preference. British colonies bought British goods exclusively. Now, American cars in India, American wheat in Egypt, American machinery in Malaya. The captive market, 458 million people, opened to American business. Third, sterling balances. Britain owed colonies £3.5 billion for war supplies. America demanded these be honored in dollars. Britain didn't have dollars. Trap within trap. To pay colonies, Britain must first get dollars. From where? America. More loans, deeper debt. Fourth, no devaluation. Pound must stay at $4.03, overvalued by 30%. British exports priced out of markets. American exports competitive. Another transfer mechanism, hidden, clever, lethal. Keynes saw it all. They mean to replace us, he cabled London. The Americans are not our friends. They are our successors. But what choice? Sign or starve? Britain signed. December 6, 1946. The Anglo-American Financial Agreement, Britain's economic surrender, disguised as aid. And then the economy collapsed. July 15, 1947, Convertibility Day, disaster in slow motion. The run began at 9 a.m. London banks opened, lines around Threadneedle Street. Everyone wanted one thing, convert pounds to dollars. Now, before the pound crashed, self-fulfilling prophecy. Week 1, $106 million converted. Manageable. Week 2, $126 million. Concerning. Week 3, $127 million. Alarming. Week 4, $237 million. Catastrophic. The dollar loan, the $3.75 billion lifeline, hemorrhaging, not over years, over weeks. The mechanism was beautiful in its cruelty. Every pound converted needed dollars. Britain had only the loan dollars. Each conversion depleted the loan that was supposed to last years, gone in weeks. American banks profited on each exchange. British reserves evaporated. August 20th, 1947, 6 weeks later. $1 billion gone. 25% of the American loan evaporated. Not spent on reconstruction, not invested in industry. Just gone. Converted. Fled. Britain suspends convertibility, humiliation. But the damage was done. The pound's reputation shattered. Dollar now king. The empire unravels. Each departure an economic calculation. August 15th, 1947. India independent. Pakistan created. 400 million people. Gone. Why? The sterling balance. India was owed £1.3 billion. Britain couldn't pay. Solution? Independence. Let them go. Cancel the debt, economic mathematics, not grand ideology. 1948, Burma independent, owed £190 million. Ceylon independent, owed £140 million. Palestine abandoned, cost of suppressing revolt, £100 million annually. Israel created, Britain walked away, too expensive. 1957, Malaysia independent, communist insurgency cost £700 million. Ghana independent, cocoa profits couldn't cover colonial administration. 1960s, Africa gone. Kenya, Nigeria, Tanzania, Uganda. Each a calculation. Defense cost versus revenue. All negative. Grant independence, cut losses. The Suez Crisis. 1956, the final humiliation. Britain and France invade Egypt, military success. Then Eisenhower makes one phone call. Stop or we crash the pound. How? America holds British debt, threatens to sell. Sterling reserves bleeding. $279 million in November alone. Britain retreats in 48 hours, from military victory to humiliation, a superpower revealed as paper tiger, economic paper tiger. By 1967, pound devalued 14%, from $4.03 to $2.40. By 1976, Britain begging the IMF, not even America, the IMF, former master of the world, now a beggar, receiving lectures on fiscal responsibility from former colonies. But the worst was yet to come. Count the cost, the real cost. What Britain gave, 25% of Earth's land, gone, not conquered, surrendered. 458 million subjects, independent, not liberated, released, too expensive to keep. Sterling as world currency, replaced by dollar. Bretton Woods, 1944, already decided. Industrial leadership, lost to America. While Britain fought, America built. Financial leadership, Wall Street supreme. The City of London, branch office, naval supremacy, U.S. Navy rules, 600 ships to Britain's 50. What Britain got, $3.75 billion loan. Survival in 1946. But at what price? Junior partner status, forever, special relationship, translation, dependency. Like Rome's client kingdoms, kept alive but not free. The real price went beyond money. Every British colony open to American business. Within a decade, Coca-Cola in Delhi, GM in Cairo. Every British market penetrated by American goods. British textiles, replaced by American synthetics. British cars, pushed out by Detroit, every British innovation shared with America. Jet engines, radar, nuclear research, given away. Part of the special relationship. Global leadership transferred to Washington. The UN in New York, not London. The World Bank, American run. The IMF, American dominated. Dollar is reserve currency. Oil priced in dollars. Trade conducted in dollars. London's financial supremacy? History. The loan was repaid. Final payment, December 29, 2006, 60 years, $7.5 billion total with interest, double the original. For comparison, America spent $13 billion on Marshall Plan, gave it to Europe, free, grant, no conditions, but Britain, the ally who fought from day one, paid, with interest, with empire. What you're seeing is just the beginning. Declassified documents reveal the truth. American planning began in 1942, not to win the war, to win the peace, to replace British Empire with American hegemony. State Department Memo, 1942. The British Empire is an anachronism. American post-war goal should be its dissolution and replacement with American-led free trade, not allies planning victory, successors planning inheritance. Roosevelt told his son, "The British Empire is a thing of the past. It almost ruined us twice in 25 years," referring to WWI and Tupubuenden. American strategy, let Britain fight, let Britain weaken, then replace them. Treasury Secretary Morgenthau's diary, 1944. We must use our financial position to ensure that Britain can never again challenge American supremacy. While British soldiers died in Normandy, American planners counted future profits. Churchill knew. His famous quote, "I have not become the king's first minister to preside over the liquidation of the British Empire." But that's exactly what he did. No choice, Hitler or bankruptcy. He chose bankruptcy, slow death over quick death, but still death. The strategy worked perfectly. Keep Britain fighting through Lend-Lease, make them dependent by cutting supplies instantly, force impossible terms through convertibility, take their empire by ending preferences, replace their currency with dollar supremacy, economic warfare, disguised as alliance, brilliant, brutal, effective. Sun Tzu would applaud. Destroy your enemy by making him your debtor. Own him without conquering him. American genius. And by then, not a single piece of gold remained in the treasury. Think this is ancient history? Look around. China holds $1 trillion in U.S. debt, like America held British debt. What happens when China presents the bill? With conditions? Open your markets, change your policies, or we crash your currency. Same playbook, different actors, the pattern never changes. Creditor nation becomes dominant, debtor nation becomes dependent, economic sovereignty dies before political sovereignty, empires transfer through debt, not war. Babylon to Persia, Rome to Byzantium, Spain to Netherlands, Netherlands to Britain, Britain to America, America to today's America, $31 trillion in debt, to China, Japan, Saudi Arabia. History rhyming. The student becomes teacher becomes student. The creditor becomes debtor. The cycle continues. Brexit. Britain trying to reclaim sovereignty. 70 years late, the empire long gone. The Commonwealth, a social club. Former colonies politely declining tea. The special relationship one-sided. America decides, Britain follows. See Iraq, see Afghanistan. When the numbers were revealed, everyone was shocked. What killed the British Empire? Not Hitler, not Stalin, not Gandhi, not independence movements. Debt, American debt, used as weapon. The lessons scream from history. Debt is sovereignty. Who you owe owns you. Britain owed America. America owned Britain. Today, America owes China. Draw conclusions. Economic war is real war. No shots fired. Empire transferred through signatures, interest rates, conditions, more effective than armies, cheaper too. Allies can be predators. America saved Britain, then ate it. Business, not personal. Today's ally, tomorrow's meal. Ask Britain, ask Europe, ask Japan. Empires die financially first. The money runs out before the flag comes down. Always. Treasury empty, empire over. Spain learned, Britain learned, America learning. The bill always comes due. Lend-Lease seemed free in 1941. The price in 1946? Everything. Today's easy money, tomorrow's sovereignty. QE, stimulus, debt ceiling raises, bills accumulating, creditors waiting. Churchill's reputation, war hero. True, but read the fine print. He saved Britain by selling it. Had to. No choice. But facts are facts. The empire died on his watch, in Washington conference rooms, with American lawyers, writing conditions, making terms, taking everything, legally, brilliantly, ruthlessly. That decision was history's most expensive mistake. December 6, 1946. The British Empire, the greatest in human history, was sold. For $3.75 billion in a Washington office by men in gray suits with fountain pens, no conquering army, no burning cities, no dramatic last stand, just signatures, interest rates, payment schedules, conditions, the empire that took 300 years to build, dismantled in Conference Room 4, B State Department Building, Foggy Bottom, Washington, D.C., the empire where the sun never set, the sun set. December 6, 1946, 4:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's set in dollars, American dollars. This is cinematic history tales, where empires die not with a bang, but with a loan agreement. Want to know how America's empire might end? Subscribe. China is taking notes. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. The next verse is being written in Beijing, in dollars, in debt, in algorithms, in supply chains, in rare earth minerals, in 5G networks. The playbook is the same, only the tools change. Next time, how France went from Napoleon to bankruptcy in 60 days, the Mississippi Bubble, another empire, another financial disaster, another lesson ignored. The pattern never changes. Only the players. Ooh, see you then. And that's how a 1,000-year empire collapsed in 12 months. With signatures, with interest rates, with payment schedules, with conditions, not with battles. With banking. The British Empire. 1583 to 1947. Rest in debt.